Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 194 of Lonely Gods. I'm your host, David, and I'm joined here, as always, by Kate.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, Kate.
Can you tell I was quickly swallowing the last of my ice cream?
Yes.
What's up?
Not a whole lot. I'm ready to talk about Doctor Who.
Oh, good. I have
It's
some big finish news for you, sort of.
you have some Doctor Who news to start us off with.
I do. So remember way back when, however long ago it was now, when I said that Big Finish was putting an end to their policy of one-to-one conversion rates for
Yes.
overseas customers. They have since put out an addendum to that. It was supposed to take effect April 1st, and it didn't. And then as of June 12th, so I guess Wednesday of last week, as we're recording this, so they put a new update saying that basically they're still working on how to best implement the new pricing, and they're trying to have it, in effect by the next 2 months. And then basically a lot of it is like, oh, blah blah blah, it's not a fair exchange rate, etc. But the statement is that the real meat of it is that when downloads first started, they were a very small part of sales. Now downloads are over 50% of our sales, and the disparity in prices is more relevant. As many of you know, CD prices on most ranges have not increased since 2004, and download prices of most ranges have not changed since the introduction in 2006. But meantime, the compound inflation is around 43%. And so blah blah. And then, however, this is the interesting bit. However, having received feedback from supporters of Big Finish outside the UK, we feel a further review is required. It's been decided not to make any movement away from one-to-one pricing for a further 2 months. So I guess, anybody looking to buy Big Finish stuff, get in while you can, especially if there's a sale on now, in case whatever they come up with does happen. But it sounds like they're kind of rethinking it.
Well, it sounds like not just you, but everyone else who bought all this stuff was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I had a look on a few forums and places, and it seemed like the majority of people have the same sentiment that I do, which is, yes, Big Finish let us ride the gravy train for quite a while, and it makes sense that they want to get fair prices out of us. But I mean, right now, for the exchange rate, the Canadian dollar is worth 59 pence in Britain. Okay, so that means that prices would almost double for me. And a lot of other people voice the same sentiment: is that double the price means that I can buy half as much, basically, if I even decide to continue buying. And I think they've kind of rethinking that because audio drama number one is more niche it's already niche in the UK, but it's even more niche on this side of the ocean. And most people do not want to be paying, $25 for a fucking download of a monthly range story. Like, there's no way. Not when you go on iTunes and a full album costs you $10. Like,
yeah,
they need to have more competitive pricing than that. But I mean, and I think there's at least by some purchasers, there's a feeling that even by UK standards, their prices are a little bit high. I remember going into Forbidden Planet in London last year and finding Big Finish stuff for sale, like on the shelf, which I'd never seen before. So I was like, oh, cool, and I went to pull it out, and I went, holy shit, slam that back on the shelf because like there's no way. So yeah, I mean, it's a good thing they've pumped the brakes and are gonna maybe try and figure it out. I don't know what percentage of purchasers are from overseas. I don't know how much the downloads, difference in downloads costs them. But I mean, I guess from a purely flat math perspective, if you lose half of your downloaders, but they're paying twice as more, then I guess it's a wash. But I don't know. Yeah. But I don't think there's a lot of people that are really very happy with this, except for a few British fans who were saying, "Well, serves you right, join the rest of us." But I'm not mad at Big Finish for doing this, because the fact that they hadn't done this all along is like baffling to me, honestly. But like, I don't want to pay twice as much. Like, and if I have to pay twice as much, I'm going to be buying a lot less.
Yeah.
And that's the way she goes. So I don't know exactly what the solution is. I don't know what it is they're kind of cogitating over right now. The thing that interests me, pardon the pun, finance jokes, interest. Anyway, the thing that interests me is their mention of like the inflation since 2006 being 43.5%. So it's like, why don't you just adjust the base prices to match that, or thereabouts, and then keep the 1-to-1? It seems maybe like that's a kind of a medium, maybe. I don't know. Because I will take some increase. Like if a companion chronicle or whatever goes from being $8 to $10, fine. But going from 8 to 16, I don't think so. And not to mention, the fucking like Eighth Doctor box sets, they're already $25. I'm not paying $50 for 4 episodes. I don't care how good Paul McGann is. There's no fucking way. You can buy an entire season of the actual show for that. For less than that. So I don't know, Big Finish, figure your shit out. Other stuff they've been talking about is announcement of some Brady Summerfield stuff. They just released another Captain Jack box set. This time he's meeting Colin Baker, and he's wearing the Technicolor Dreamcoat on the cover, which will suit his fruitiness, I guess. So I don't know. That kind of sounds like a fun premise, maybe.
I don't know.
Most of the conversation recently seems to be over this pricing thing, and also the fact that apparently the main range, or monthly range, whatever the fuck they're calling it these days, is not very good lately. But I wouldn't know because I haven't bought anything since November.
Yeah. We'll have to get back to it eventually, but that's still a while away.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have to run out a classic series first, I guess, because like something's got to give.
Then the question is do we do all of the Eighth Doctor stuff, or do we go straight into the new stuff?
Well, I would just go in release order, which would put a couple of years of Big Finish in like buffer between.
Oh, that's true. That would make sense.
Between us and new series, and then after that we'd start mixing it in. That's what I would suggest, because it would be a little bit more of a sane schedule, especially if the exchange rate does get adjusted.
Yeah.
And because like from the early years of Big Finish, like say 99 through 2004, right before the show came back, the only things I'm missing are the Benny seasons, which are only on CD anyway, and that already is adjusted for the exchange rate, so that pricing won't change anyway.
Yeah.
So it'll be a long time before I have to deal with it. Sometime in like 2006.
Oh,
and
cool.
So we're still a couple decades out from having to worry about that.
That's good. And I like that plan.
I like that plan too, especially because sales are going to be half as effective now.
Well, I mean, we still don't know what's going to happen with that.
Yeah, so. I don't know either. I mean, I don't know if they'll walk it back or what, because like they're stuck with a rock between a hard place, because like they shouldn't have done it in the first place, but the fact is they did, and they did it for over 10 years. They've set themselves a precedent here.
Yeah.
And they've gotten the overseas market accustomed to that being the price point, and all of a sudden doubling it is not going to go down well. Like whether it's fair or not, nobody's going to like that.
Anyway, you ready to talk about this week's actual story?
Sure.
So we could only go up from last week.
That's right, Shania.
Yes. There was no way it could get worse. But the question is, how much better did it get?
Quite a bit, I would say.
I mean, this story had some problems, but I kind of enjoyed Revelation of the Daleks.
Was that what we watched? Fuck. I watched the War Games this week, son of a bitch.
You watched both.
No, well, somehow the War Games just keeps finding itself in my DVD player. I don't know how it does that.
Because you love it.
It's really bizarre.
I mean, we love it.
Everyone loves it. And there's a segue in there because the only two doctors I think that had their best stories be their last stories was Troughton and Peter Davison with the Caves of Androzani, which was directed by the same man as this week's story.
Really?
Yes.
So, go ahead.
And so because of that, I would say that one of the positives of Revelation of the Daleks is that it kind of shares a similar atmosphere to me with Androzani, albeit this story is a little bit more loony.
Yeah, and this story in particular, out of all of the ones this season, where because we have the double length episodes.
Yes, this is the last one. This is the season
really?
finale.
I know this is the final one. Yes,
I know we haven't reiterated that since the start of the show. So this is the season 22 finale.
Yes,
and we're going back to half hours after this. Thank heavens.
But I think this story in particular really was hurt because of the double length episodes.
You think so?
I thought the first half of this story really dragged.
Yeah.
Because they treat everything like a mystery for a little too long. But in the sense where like they don't really tell you anything that's going on. Events are just kind of happening. But to start us off,
I kind of feel the same way about a lot of stories that make their bank on popular villains and monsters and stuff. Like a lot of the time, like the story is called Revelation of the Daleks. It's on the title screen, but like, and they all are like something of the Daleks or whatever of the Cybermen, and it's. We know they're there, we know they're coming, and yet they always try to be like play the reveal, and I don't know why they do that. I think it's just like tradition set by like the Hartnell era when every episode had its own title and you didn't necessarily know what was coming, and everyone goes, oh my god, but like it's kind of an outdated practice by this point.
But it's even worse than that, because like halfway before the reveal, you find like the reveal I'm talking about, you find out that it's the Daleks and that it's Davros. And then it's like, well,
okay,
he's doing something. They're conflicting because he's doing something, but just tell me what he's doing. There's no reason to hide this plan from us.
I guess so.
There's a
lot of the Doctor and Perry kind of circling around the action in this story. They're not really in the thick of things figuring out for themselves. They kind of just bump into other people who have already done the work.
Yes, and they're not. Yeah, there's a lot of just. I don't know. Weird ways of conveying the actual plot, I thought. Also, I was totally right. That guy was Fat Elvis.
He was fat several things.
He was fat several things, but he was trying to be Fat Elvis in that screenshot. I was very proud of myself.
Yeah. The DJ is he's a character.
So let's set up what this story is. So
wait, I want to complain about the British one more time.
Okay.
It annoyed me that Perry is supposed to be American and she called him the DJ. I was like, nobody puts emphasis on DJ. Like, no American would say that. It drives me crazy. I know it was the 80s, but surely somebody could have said, "Hey, that's stupid. Don't do that."
The Doctor and Perry land on Necros, which
subtle.
Oh, quick side note, by the way, I googled necromantia. I was like, I want to find this again and like look it up, and it's like buried.
Necromantia?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's really hard to find.
Did you spell it right?
I think so.
Because it's TEIA instead of just IA.
Yeah.
So it's yeah. I mean, maybe they did that on purpose so no one would find it.
Anyway, it did make me think of that. But so they land on Necros, which is like it's weird because they describe it like a funeral planet, but it's actually a planet. It's like Walt Disney's
basement.
Yeah, it's everyone's cryogenically frozen until their diseases or just death can be cured. But also they're like not asleep, they're awake, and there's a DJ playing them stuff.
I think the idea is that they were essentially dead but could be revived in some state, because they keep talking about like bodies
Yeah.
and funerals, and like they're not going to spoil it, but the fact that they're using the bodies in ways not advertised as part of the
They're turning
plot,
people into Daleks, okay? Like
which
it's
is always
not
a good
that,
idea. There was no spats this time.
it was not that complicated. I don't know why it took us so long to figure out that they were turning people into
I'm
Daleks.
pretty sure they had a goopy guy in a glass Dalek casing, like in the first part, didn't they? Because they blew up the goopy guy, and it was funny because it was gory, and I'm
Maybe.
mature. Because there was those body snatchers that were invading the funeral home complex because the lady wanted her dad's body and they wouldn't give him to her or something.
That was still like 20 minutes into the or like 15 minutes into the story.
That's still part one by these standards.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Is it just felt like it was because the double length. It felt like it took a while to like get somewhere.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, yes, it does. That's the thing. Like, I think we talked about this with Timelash, but like, it doesn't feel like you're getting 2 half-hour episodes smushed together. It feels like you're getting 1 half-hour episode stretched to an extra 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because like it doesn't need to like you don't need to hide that stuff because it's the Daleks and like it's not some complicated new plot. We've seen this before.
Have we seen them converting people before?
I don't know.
I mean, we've seen it on the new series. I don't know if it was in. I don't think we've seen that in the classic series before. I know that like evil, they were like trying to adapt human elements into themselves, but they weren't just like converting humans.
It just didn't seem surprising. It's
Well,
just another Dalek plan. It's just another evil. I'm also kind of sick of Davros.
are you?
Yes.
Why?
I just feel like he just shows up
Shows up and screams at people.
and screams and yells. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not a very subtle villain.
He keeps
I
getting
mean,
defeated. Like he keeps just getting defeated over. I mean, I get that's the Doctor Who thing, but like the Daleks are like a faceless thing. When you put the face on them, isn't as interesting.
yeah, it gets a little bit into like curse you, Doctor Do Right. How did?
And I'm totally in your camp. Every time he shows up, it diminishes the power of Genesis of the Daleks.
Yeah, well, funny enough, this is the only one, or one of the only ones, where I feel like it uses him well and in the same vein as Genesis. Because in like Destiny of the Daleks, where they were fighting those like broom mop head guys or whatever, and Tom Baker was like pushing around his chair, like that was just shameful.
That was bad.
That was bad. But this actually has him as like an evil person, and he has that same kind of menace that he had the first time around in the performance. And I mean, this is also the point where he loses his hand, because if you'll remember from the new series, every time we see him, he's got it's got like the robot hand, and he, this is, I guess, the origin of that.
Yeah, I liked him showing up. I mean, that episode's not good, but I like the fact, like, it was cool that they brought him back to the new series, even though they didn't do a good job.
No, and I mean, they had him in that Peter Capaldi one.
That one was a little better.
Yeah, I liked that they tried to have the character like dynamic where they were sort of, arguing with each other over morality and all that. But
yeah, I like that.
The problem is I had already seen that exact scene in my brain when I listened to the Eighth Doctor adventure Terra Firma from like 2003, which like literally that has that scene. And it's not the first time they've mined the audios for the new series, and that's fine. But it was like, I've seen this before, and I'm bored, and I don't like Missy, and I'm tired of this.
Which my problem with I mean, again, I didn't dislike this story, but my problem with Davros in it is he's just. It feels like it's a different variation of the same plan. He's just making more Daleks. It's like it didn't work last time. He's supposed to be this evil genius. You think he would be. I don't know, smarter.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Destiny was the last time that we saw him on TV, right?
Yeah. I
And
think.
by that point, like the mop head guys had captured him and were like taking him to prison or something. So by this time, I guess he's escaped them and he's trying to make new Daleks because he wanted to make new Daleks that are loyal to him. Because as we find through the story, like this is, I think what they're trying to
This
do.
introduces the concept that Davros is not aligned. Like he's a splintered Dalek group.
Yeah, like there's the Dalek Supreme and the Dalek Emperor,
That
and
the
they
new
do
series
not answer
loves
to
so
him,
much.
and Davros Daleks are kind of their own little splinter group, and that
Yeah.
was, that's something that I guess is made to reconcile the introduction of Davros with the way they had been portrayed previous to that, and I don't mind that, but I mean it's not conveyed very well
No.
because it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to just have them show up at the very end. To me, like if the crux of the conflict is the fact that Davros wants to kind of regain control of his creations, that sounds like a really interesting story, and it sounds like to me a good follow-up on Genesis as to now that you've created them and they've gotten out of hand, like what are you going to do about it? And that comes up like maybe once like in passing, and it's too bad because it's, as they say, it's money on the table, and you left it there.
Yeah. So yeah, so they're using the bodies to create Daleks. There's a lady who is like in charge of the planet before Davros showed up, I guess, and runs the factories that I don't oh, she's making food, right?
Yeah, the idea is that the planet had a famine before Davros showed up, and Davros gave them this like Soylent Green paste, and he's been hailed as the great healer because he's saved them all from starving. Although what he's doing is like feeding you like liquefied Dalek failures, basically, which is very tasty. Um, so yeah, I guess the what's her face used to be the boss.
Yes. But she's
Yes,
getting money and she's giving it all to Davros to use for his research.
right. Not that she likes him, but I
No.
think she feels she doesn't really have another choice.
So she hires a weird space cowboy knight and his
Yeah,
squire to kill Davros.
yeah, I like this guy.
I like this guy. I like his weird squire too.
He was a hard ass. He has a weird little squire. He
He
has
has
this
an
idea about
artificial
like
leg.
being like an honorable Dalek hunter. It reminds me of what's his name, Kalendorf from Dalek Empire.
Yes.
They were both knights of something. They're knights of different somethings, but they were both knights of something. And they remind me of each other favorably. And like that is one of the things that I quite enjoy about this story, other than competent direction and atmosphere for once. See Timelash for plain white rooms and nothing happening. Is that the guest cast is very memorable, not always in a good way, but they're a very colorful cast of supporting characters. And again, it's a great contrast to Timelash because everyone there was as boring as watching paint dry. But
So
everyone
yeah,
here has a ridiculous personality of some fashion or another.
I like the knight and the squire. Uh, I didn't understand the lady character, the boss, the former boss.
She wants to kill him.
Yeah, but she just seemed very one dimensional.
Well, I mean, yes, but she's there as a vehicle to get
She's just a plot
the
device.
assassin into the story. Like, I
She's
don't
just a
think
plot
she doesn't
device.
seem to have a lot to do on her own.
Um, the same thing with the daughter and the friend that are looking for the father who find him, and they're like as soon as when they find his partial Dalek transformation and she kills her own, her father begs for death and she kills him, and then they like set off on a mission against the great healer. They were fine, but barely important to the story.
Yeah, I think those two are kind of the weak link in the supporting cast for me, and I think they're also kind of a symptom of a larger, not necessarily a problem with the story, but something that struck me as a little odd is that most of the legwork in uncovering what's happening is kind of done for the Doctor and Perry. They kind of wander around, they get into some trouble, and
I totally agree. The only thing the Doctor does is kill that Dalek.
yeah, because like the assassin guy and is there doing all the action stuff for the most part, and like actively trying to fight the Daleks, and then they have the two body snatchers that are the ones that are actually like uncovering everything. And we haven't even talked about like the chief in Bulmer guy and the fat bitch that wants to fuck him this entire time.
They kept forgetting that they kept showing up, and I'm like, oh, I don't care. And then their plot didn't do. They were completely inconsequential to the story.
I found them very memorable just because they were bizarre.
They were very bizarre, but they were totally
because the Bulmer is kind of like he's foppish and he's an asshole and he's a womanizer and he's just like rude to everybody. And like the fat bitch that's like his student, it looks like every like stereotypical German masseuse you've ever seen, and she wants to be like in love with him, and he doesn't love her, so Davros like capitalizes on that and makes her kill him as proof so that she can be given immortality, and by immortality of course he means becoming a gross Dalek. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, they're characters that fulfill roles in the story that could otherwise be functionary, but there's just something bizarre about everyone on this planet that I find very memorable and somewhat interesting.
Well, yeah, because again, you could have totally removed those two characters from the story, and it wouldn't have actually changed the plot. Same thing with the daughter and the friend. Besides the reveal, like them being the people that reveal that that Davros is turning the quote unquote corpses or whatever, or well, the infirm people into Daleks. Like you could have revealed that elsewhere, and then they didn't need to be there.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that this kind of has an atypical structure, because I feel like in most Doctor Who stories, what you would have is the Doctor and Perry would arrive, they would meet the lady looking for her dad, they would all go together
and
to investigate, and then they would figure it out. And the Doctor would then make the transition into what the Knight is doing and trying to fight Davros. But instead, you have these two completely separate threads of one person discovering the situation, the other one coming in to clean it up, and the Doctor kind of just waltzing in at the end to summarize it all.
The only thing the Doctor does and Perry do in the whole first episode, because again, there's only two now, is explain to Perry where they are. They look around, they go to find his friend, and they find a statue of the Doctor that falls on him. And the most like hilarious, like this looks so fake. It turns out it was fake. Like,
yes, I always like that when cheap science fiction shows go have a bad effect, and they're like, and they have the characters be like, that's a terrible fake. What a bad likeness that is.
Yes.
You know. So yeah, like when you see that, you're like, oh no.
The first episode ends with the Doctor being quote unquote crushed under the statue, and it looks so bad because it looks like poorly assembled like styrofoam.
Yeah,
it comes apart in the steam when it's falling.
Pretty much
in a real way that shows that there's no weight to it.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it was like, please know, we've already seen there's a statue of me here from The Face of Evil, and we just like 2 weeks ago, I mean, not in our time scale because we're fucking lazy, but on the show 2 stories ago, we had the two Doctors where we also had this plot of like, oh, I've been killed in the future / past, now what do I do?
Yes,
because the Doctor spends the whole last like 5 minutes of part 1 freaking out because he's like, I've just seen my own grave. I've arrived here like after I've died, and it doesn't like. It feels like a very familiar kind of beat that we had in 2 Doctors, except for it was reversed because it was like, oh no, my Troughton self is being killed.
Yeah,
that was interesting because it had Troughton and Jamie, and we like them.
We do like them.
We like them more than, bad statuary.
Yes, but I mean that's the weirdest part about this story is it feels very like the Doctor feels very inconsequential to the whole thing.
Yeah, he is. And I know, some people say that it kind of predates like the Dr. Light episodes of the new series, but I mean, sort of. But at the same time, you get a lot of screen time of him and Perry wandering around doing not much.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like again, the Doctor's only real action is he picks up a gun and kills a Dalek, which of course also feels like not a very Doctor Who thing to do.
You say that, but I mean, I don't know.
It keeps happening.
Yeah, the classic series, Doctor will bust a cap in your ass.
I mean, not as much. The Sixth Doctor does it more.
I guess so, but I remember William Hartnell.
Violent.
I remember William Hartnell fucking beating someone over the head with a shovel and laughing about it.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, I also remember 5 shooting Cybermen, which I was okay with.
Yeah. So whatever. This whole like extreme pacifism thing, like
it felt weird in this episode because that's all he does.
Is he the one that blows Davros's hand off, or is that the assassin guy?
That's the assassin guy.
Yeah. Did you like the fake out reveal where like Davros was like essentially a head in a rotating jar this entire story, and then they blow it up and it's like, that wasn't me. Ha ha ha. I was like, wait, did we watch Timelash again?
No, well, when they killed him, I'm like, wait a minute, something's wrong. Like, I just knew it was like that can't be the end, and they're not going to like grossly do that to his head because his head like deflates.
They love gross, slimy deflating in the Colin Baker era for some reason.
They do.
They have an obsession. This is the obsession with continuity and the obsession with deflating gross heads.
This was the other part that was like threw me off a bit is Davros became Emperor Palpatine for some reason. He's in a floating chair and he's shooting lightning.
He's got lightning from his head thing.
I know.
Did he always have that though?
I can't remember, but it was just I know this is
we're the worst Doctor Who fans ever.
Isn't this the first? I think I read that this was the first time his chair hovers.
Yeah, it's definitely the first time his chair hovers, because otherwise Tom Baker would be scooting him around like a fat person at Walmart.
It's also not a great effect.
It's not a great effect. That and the Dalek beam guns have been replaced with CG on DVD as an option if you want that. So yeah, this is the last time we have remastered CG effects, except for there's 2 McCoy stories that have CG, but this is it for Colin Baker.
We skipped over a fact. I want to bring back because the episode called back to it. It's so stupid. When we're first introduced to the knight and his squire, the boss lady offers him a seat, and he's like, "I don't sit down. I have an artificial leg, and the pistons might seize up if I sit down and get back up, and I don't want to do that." And then later, Davros shoots him in the leg, and it blows the artificial leg off, and he's fine.
He's he's clearly just disguising his weakness, so that he's given himself a weakness to fool people into not taking it seriously until it is too late, I guess. I don't fucking know.
Oh, we also didn't talk about the fact that she betrayed them because she was like, bring this box and it's a radio signal and it'll give a target, but it was a bomb the whole time.
Well, no, it was supposed to be a bomb the whole time because the guy wasn't surprised though.
Because he knew she would betray him. He didn't think she was honorable, I guess, but he wanted to kill Davros.
I don't know. I should stop watching these, either tired or drunk or both. But
it's just it was a big step up from last week because holy shit, last week was bad. But it's not without fault. But I mean, I had some fun. I liked the DJ. Perry goes to talk to the DJ. And
he's like, "You're a real American?"
Yeah, I've heard about that place.
That's so cool.
and he seems like a nice guy, and then they fight Daleks, and he turns his radio equipment into a
Yes,
radio gun and blows them up,
he blows them up with the power of rock and roll.
which is really fucking awesome. That was just a really cool scene. But then he does the thing that they do in every Dalek episode, where he kills a bunch of Daleks, and he's like, "Okay, I think the coast is clear." Stands up, and more come in and shoot him.
Yeah, they never learn, do they? Well, the problem is that when that happens, none of them live to warn the others that they're idiots. So they never learn.
I suppose. But I did really like that scene of him using the power of rock and roll to blow up Daleks.
Yeah. The 80s was a magical time when you could blast your fuddy-duddy parents out of the room with rock and roll.
Yeah.
Kill Daleks. It was beautiful.
So then they blow everything up at the end with the bomb.
A bomb.
But doesn't Davros escape?
Yeah, so basically there was these two like orderlies, I guess, that we haven't talked about that worked under the asshole embalmer guy. And they don't like Davros either, sort of, but they're kind of dicks too. So you don't really know if they're nice or not. But anyway, they called like the main Dalek force to say, "Hey, Davros is here and he's causing problems. Can you come get your like screaming child, please?" And they were like, "Oh fuck, there he is." So they went to like come and arrest him and take him before the Dalek Supreme or whatever for to stand trial, because that's a thing that Daleks do. And yeah, they do manage to escape with him, which is, for me, that's kind of the biggest down point on this story, is that Davros kind of doesn't. I mean, his plan is foiled, but he kind of just leaves. Like, there's no finality to it. It was clear that he's just kind of been whisked off to something else, and I don't think we see him again in the classic series. So, bah.
That's fine, I guess.
Nobody asked me.
Also, I'm getting really sick of these Dalek episode names.
The whatever of the Daleks.
Now there's been a bunch of R ones.
Resurrection, Revelation.
Wasn't there Renaissance too? Was there an audio story called Renaissance the Daleks?
That was an audio one. That was stupid too.
It was.
That was one where the toy Daleks were going to take over the world, and they like time traveled to the Civil War for some reason, and I don't know what's going on anymore. It was stupid.
Yes.
Big Finish. I don't know why I even want to keep buying Big Finish. Think back on that. I mostly kid.
So
I think overall, like, it's a big improvement from last week, and I have a certain like soft spot for this, because I like the ending. I like the confrontation in the control room with the Doctor and Davros and the night guy, and I think this has really good direction. It's got good atmosphere. The production value is used, for the most part, used to greatest effect as it can. And it's got personality, and that goes a long way. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, the guest cast carries so much of this story. It's a good thing that they're all fucking weirdos.
Yeah, we also didn't talk about the scene where the Doctor and Perry get charged by the mutant guy, and she kills him, and he's like, "It's better that you killed me."
Yeah, she cries about it. And that was one of the things that I thought was nice about Colin Baker's portrayal in this story, is that he actually shows a little bit of sympathy to somebody besides himself for once.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good. I actually really liked that scene, because Perry's all torn up about it, and he's like, "Listen, basically, you hitting me in the head like cleared my mind, and I was like a raving,
Also, I'm melting anyway.
Yeah, like I was experimented on. Like, I need to die. Thank you." And then he dies.
Yeah, and it still bothers her after that, which is
of course. She's like,
"It's a nice touch."
How do you kill someone and they say thank you?
So I think the characterization of the Doctor, even though he wasn't doing anything, the characterization was, a marked improvement from senior asshole that we've had in most of the season.
Yeah, it's a weird episode.
It is very strange. And we've only got one Dalek story left in the classic series too, so
Yeah,
we're going out on an interesting note, I guess.
but I'd take this over. I mean, I'd take this over a lot of other Dalek episode stories. So
No, I think this is genuinely good. It's just really weird.
yeah,
And I don't mean weird as in like you know esoteric and strange. I mean like it's weird in structure.
it's weird in structure. It's got some plot grievances, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it, and it's not just because we are so damaged from Timelash.
No, I think it's. I mean, it is a genuinely good episode. It's just fucking strange, and sometimes strange is fine.
Yes, I like the DJ. So, yeah, definitely, it was a good season finale.
Oh yeah, I kind of
Bring in-
forgotten about that in the last
Bring in the
15 minutes.
like, and this is a good style of a finale. Bring in the Daleks. Bring in like a Davros. Like, bring your A game.
Exactly.
So
And it was good, and it. I mean, at least it has. At least it did its best to like tie into other Dalek stories, and it does tie to the other Dalek stories, both past and future. So I mean, there's that kind of interest if you're a lore nerd, and I mean, it's a market improvement over the last season finale we had, which was the fucking twin dilemma. So it's hard to be worse than that.
yeah,
But good God, did Timelash ever try?
before we close out, we have a few other things to talk about.
Oh, oh,
Yes. Well, like how so this episode ends with Perry saying, "Let's go someplace fun." And the doctor says, "Oh, we'll go too." And then right before he says a word, it cuts out. It cuts off.
yeah.
But they actually filmed him saying where they were going to go.
Which was Blackpool, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
So-
where they go in the next story, and I'll let you explain this
Well,
part.
it's where they would go in the next story, but as we mentioned, I think last week, this was followed up by an 18-month hiatus because the BBC was trying to find a reason to kill the show. So what would have been season 23 was effectively canceled and didn't happen. And when they came back for the real season 23 Trial of a Time Lord, it was basically a shortened 14-episode run to essentially prove that the show had a right to continue. So, they weren't really very subtle with the behind-the-scenes metaphor for that arc, I guess. But so, yeah, a number of stories had already been commissioned and were in various states of being written. And I think, I don't remember which one was the Blackpool. I think it was called the Nightmare Fair. I think they were going to bring back the Celestial Toy Maker, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, basically there's that entire full season of Doctor Who essentially was thrown out and started over after a brief period of cancellation. They claimed that the program was being rested, which is network talk for, we want to get rid of it, but we're not sure how mad the fans will be.
Mad.
Well, mad enough that they did a lot of embarrassing things, like campaigns and stuff to try and save the show. But I mean, by that point, like the mainstream popularity that John Pertwee and Tom Baker had gotten the show throughout the 70s had pretty much all bled off. Like the show was not really doing that well from what I understand. So I mean, even though the controller of the BBC at the time actively disliked Doctor Who, there was, I think, genuine grounds to be maybe looking at doing something else. But thankfully your friends at Big Finish have dramatized all of the lost stories, and that was actually one of the reasons that the lost stories became a thing in the first place, was to recreate this entire season that never happened.
Exciting. But so what do we have for next week then?
Well, what do we have for next week? That's a good fucking question. Let me scroll up my little list. We have season 23, the first part of the 14 episode Trial of a Time Lord season, aka the Mysterious Planet. Some people consider it 4 stories, some people consider it 1 story. We're breaking it in 4 because I'm not watching 14 episodes next week.
Oh, Kate, you want it to be like a classic, like a Hartnell story?
No. I mean, not unless they're going to do it in black and white and have it very grainy and hiss and pop every few seconds.
I mean, you can put those effects on your TV.
It won't be the same. Composing, no, seriously, composing for grayscale versus composing your like costumes and sets and stuff for color is a different art.
I know. I'm just
Anyway,
I don't want to watch 14 episodes in a week anyway.
No, neither do I. Nobody does. Nobody should, unless you're a Doctor Who fan, I guess. But I don't think do we like Doctor Who anymore?
Yeah. No. Yeah. No. No.
Because like I know that we sounded mean with that, but I did enjoy it, and it's just I don't know. Right now it's kind of the the triple trouble actually. Of first of all, we've been doing these so sporadically, it's been kind of hard to get into a groove and like get back into the routine of doing Doctor Who every week. Secondly, I've been growing more and more disinterested in a lot of Big Finish's output, which is again something we discussed last week. And this season with the 6th Doctor has been a real chore sometimes. So all that combined, I think maybe I'm being a little bit more negative than I mean to be, but it's just
we knew this was going to happen.
I know, but that doesn't mean it's pleasant. I mean, like, when do you think when we started this show, I looked ahead and saw the fucking space pirates coming at us, and I'm going, oh no. Yet we did it. I knew Necromantia was coming.
Yeah. Yeah, you sprung that one on us.
Yeah, our lot in life is to suffer, Dave, and
we already found the bottom, Kate. We found the bottom.
Yeah, you know what? Timelash might be pretty deep in the hole, but we know where the absolute bottom is.
We know where the bottom is. It can't get worse than that because there are systems in place nowadays to ensure nothing that bad gets made again.
And even like within the TV series, there's nothing as bad as Necromantia.
No.
Nothing, not the space pirates, not Timelash, not fucking Time Flight, not Web Planet, not Fear Her, not Love and Monsters. None of that shit is anywhere near as bad as Necromantia. There's literally everything is wrong with Necromantia. Everything is wrong.
Yes, everything is wrong.
It'll never be that bad again. All right, so The Mysterious Planet, and for those of you who are pedantic, that is parts 1 through 4 for Trial of a Time Lord.
Yes. All right. See you next time. Bye, everyone.